parts are now in for the power washer, which, believe it or not, that's almost $200 right there. It's $198 worth of parts. This is everything that I got. So it looks like all the new washers and the seals, and then another thing of seals, and then the main seal, and an O-ring. Hopefully it came with the, yes it did, okay, because as you can see, this washer is completely, like, I don't know what to call that, blown out. Be careful about these nozzles, scratch the bore surface, and also be careful to know which way the piece goes back in. If you're just using this video as a kind of a how-to or just following along, these seals on this portion go in this direction. You'll see it looks different on the back. They go in like that. I'm using a 19mm socket, so that way it pushes that seal in nice and evenly with the surface. Got the seals into this part, and so here is the next part that I'm gonna do. And first I want to, so let's see how these all came out. So like that. Ouch. I'm not 100% sure how to get those ones out, but I think I have an idea. Just pop a roofing screw into here like that. Keep that from spinning in there. All right. There we go. All right, so that actually worked like a charm. So what I did was just put a screw in there and then just used a pair of pliers to pry it out. Simple as that. Just grab it in, that's just sitting on it. Try that. Down with the part. Use the inventory, not touch this. Make sure when you pull out, when you pull these out, make sure the little metal piece comes out with it. I just seen that in there. All right. So I got all that out, and then Rebiuld these little pieces. And I have one of these aligned so that way I know how all the seals go in. So you're gonna have one of these graphite looking seals. I don't know what, it's like a graphite and rubber or something like that, or nylon. It goes in here like that, presses in. Then you're gonna have one of your copper washers that goes on top of that. Then you're gonna have this guy goes on there, and then you're gonna have another seal that goes onto the top of that. And this seal is going to have a lip on one side and a flat side. So you can see there's a lip, the lip goes down. Oops. Pushing that back into place. Those things are pretty loose in there too, so not surprising that this thing needs a rebuild. So what we do here is using some sandpaper and just trying up these surfaces where the seals go in. Just so what I'm doing is using some sandpaper trying up all these surfaces the seals go into. Probably doesn't matter, but I'm just going to do it. So what I'm going to do to get down into these bores to clean them up real nicely is I'm just taking an old 1/4 inch shank from something, and I cut a slice down the center, as you can see right there. I actually use this for when I port cylinder heads, to do this exact same thing with sandpaper, or emery cloth anyways. And then I'm going to clean up. Just nice. Now that I got those little bores cleaned up real good, you can see in there everything's for the most part pretty shiny, and looks like it's clear of debris. And of course this just kind of tells you how to do all this. Oh, and of course right here it even tells you to make sure you have the old valve seats completely removed. As you saw, I had a couple of them stuck, which are these little guys. So yeah, installing the new ones, I'm going to put a little oil on here, and then I'm going to push those down into those bores. There we go. The way I'm using it is I'm just using that end of a 1/4 inch socket, and then just like that. Remember the plastic, you don't want plastic, you need pretty plastic, so. There you go. And we got these ones. And here's that little thing down. Next. There we go. Seems like you're seeing in here nicely. Okay. So for this part, you have, so like these graphite, I'm assuming these are made of graphite, these graphite looking seals, and then you have these rubber seals. So the way this one came apart was you had the graphite seal in there first, and then you had the little brass washer, or bronze, whatever it is, I think it's brass. So I'm gonna give that a little bit of lubrication and push it in. Okay. There we go. Probably by no means is the proper way to do that, but that worked. So as you can see, these have a little flare on them, and you got to get that pushed into that bore somehow. And it's not too bad if you got some sort of small screwdriver, something that's not too sharp. So to get these in, I just went and bolt in all, and then just push it in. That way push it. And eventually work your way around and go in. There we go. And then keep that fine. Press fit once you get it. And just one more thing. I don't know if you're supposed to use oil, but I assume it's easier to try this one on the other side. You can see. There we go. There we go. I'm sure we'll use the other side. I'll grab this thing. There. And it seems like a 19mm socket is perfect to shove those down the rest of the way flush. For these little washers, those go in right there, like that. And then it appears that we got some O-rings we need to replace on these. I'll oil those up too, of course. Oh, make sure to get the old washer off of the backside, huh? Ooh, that's almost bad. There we go. All right, so now for the seals. These seals are going to go in with the open lip going down. You'll kind of see too that these also have a little flare on them. The flare and open lip goes downwards. There we go. Oh yeah. Almost. Wait, no. And then this part, of course, don't forget to put these little washers on top of there, just like that. Make sure it sits in there correctly. There we go. There. Now that this part is done, we can put this together like this. I don't know what the torque specs is on this. I assume probably like 10 foot-pounds. I couldn't find that info anywhere, even on their website. So I would say 10 foot-pounds, or just get it snugged down and do a quarter turn, because really you're or you have just O-rings and stuff, and they're being compressed, so the likelihood of it leaking is very slim. So now that I got them snugged down, I'm just going to give it a little turn. And that should be, I would think, more than enough, because that's pretty tight. So let's put this part back together. All right, now the part for the O-rings to go over here. So now that the O-rings are on, obviously you can go ahead to putting your pressure washer adapter on. This one work? Probably not tall enough. Yeah, that'll do. Now we got the O-rings in. I can do this button side up on. See, probably looks like there. Have fun, tighten those down. Yes. And again, I don't know any torque specs of these. I'm gonna go with it's probably in the ballpark of 10 foot-pounds on those, 10 to 14. And then for these ones, probably 7 to 10. This one, probably 7 to 10 as well. And then the pistons will go in, and this requires 1540, an SEA 1540, so you could probably get away with using like Rotella diesel oil or something, or just some sort of diesel oil, I would imagine. Probably would be just fine. I'll lube that up a little better. There we go. Move that out of the way, and then the swash plate cover. I'll put the new O-ring on this and the new seal. So you can see I put the plate back on there just to so I don't lose it. And what I do is knock that plate out real fast so I can put the seal in. And then the seal, it goes on. The way it came out anyways was this way. And if you want this to go in, you could actually just freeze this thing and it'll drop right in. I have a squirrel problem around here, so whenever I have a box, I put boxes so I don't lose things, and either they will take stuff or they will put seeds in boxes. It's kind of funny, but also really, I think, annoying. Here, put together swash plate and there on there. So the way this goes together is you're going to have a bearing race and then a bearing, and then your swash plate with it's got two races connected. They're press fit, and then you can push your swash plate shaft through there, being careful not to screw up the seal. And then you're going to have another set of bearings that you want to lubricate. your other bearings in place, and then the actual swash plate portion itself. Alright, so holding the swash plate up like this, I should be able to put this together. I'm assuming I've got the bolt holes lined up close. I'm going to be fighting springs when doing this, so now I can flip it over because the springs are being pushed on. There we go. See, what I'm doing is holding downwards pressure on this at the same time. The more oil on this seal, the better. So I'm just going to call it 110 inch pounds, which is 10 foot pounds. No, I'm going to call this 120 inch pounds. I'm going to call this 120 foot pounds, or no, 120 inch pounds. On these, and the other bolts in, this is all to do, at least 7 foot pounds. So 120 pounds is 10 foot pounds. If you want to use extensions and get suckers, I'm going to go up to 130, just to be safe. So original, this is probably 6 here. So the pump is all reassembled now. So now that it's reassembled, I'm going to spin it by hand just to make sure nothing's binding up. And it feels pretty good. Okay, so I thought I saw another O-ring around here. That's fine. I probably have got one that'll fit that. Kind of cool how you can see the inner workings of this power washer pump. Let me see if I can grab something to spin it. The little pistons in there that have a swash plate, and it pushes each piston, which forces water through a check valve and pressurizes that water up and out through to your pressure washer nozzle.